First things first, huge shout out to MI.NET. I've been speaking at this meetup since we were doing T-Nugs and Troy and Pontiac and MI.NET stuff out here. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me back. I'm assuming this is the official hashtag for the event. Is everybody on Twitter? No. Not a good thing, not a good thing. It will always be Twitter too, by the way. It'll never be X, so let's just keep that in mind. But if you are tweeting, doing anything on social media, hashtag MI.NET would be the best way to engage with this community, engage with the meetup. Let people know that you are out and about and you're engaged with what we're doing. There is a copy of, well, this is the QR code for our show notes. So this QR code will take you to the TuxCare website, the company I work for. The slides are available. This video will be up hopefully by the end of the week, as long as I can get it edited. And all the resources for this talk are also on that page. So you can, I also have this at the end of the talk as well. So if you miss it right now, you'll be able to get this information. Also, there's another hashtag, I forgot to put it in here, hashtag developer community. Who has seen me give a talk before? Okay. I love developer community. Developer community is my lifeblood. It's why I live out of suitcases. It's why I live out of hotels and airports. I give up weekends to travel around the world and not just talk about technology, but to bring the community together. Now, years ago, let's say 5, we had a shitty situation happened around the world. And I don't know about you, but in my opinion, I feel like developer community started to die quickly. We weren't able to get together. We weren't able to vibe and talk. And I don't mean vibe coding. That was way before vibe coding was a thing. I'm talking about talking and cracking jokes and enjoying each other's time. That is where the community is made. How many are conference goers or conference speakers? Right. So you know that you can learn everything that you want in a conference talk, but that's not where the community is built. The community is built in the hallway track. It's built at the breakfasts and the lunches and the dinners and the happy hours, right? We lost that. We lost that. And speaking into a camera without being able to see my audience isn't fun. It's probably not fun for you as well. I need my audience to be able to gauge how I'm doing. I need you to be laughing. If I'm being vulnerable, I need you to maybe cry, or I need your jaw to drop, or I need to see your jaw drop so the light bulb goes off, right? That's what I need. So if you're also tweeting or doing anything social media, hashtag developer community would be amazing. I'd love to see the traction in that as well. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris DeMars. I'm born and raised Detroit, Michigan, currently live on the east side. You can catch me on Twitter at Salt and Burnham, which is right there. Let's see. And then I'm also on Blue Sky at chrisdemars.net. I'm a senior developer advocate. I work at TuxCare. Is anybody familiar with TuxCare? Well, you're going to be. So TuxCare, we offer end-of-life support patching for various systems and languages. We offer it for JavaScript, for Angular and AngularJS, older versions of that. Offer it for Linux, kernel care, Java, Spring Boot, Spring Framework, Python, Ruby. We offer a bunch of different things. So if you want to check that out, tuxcare.com. I also have some stickers up here. Please take a sticker sheet. And there's also VIP cards next to that. We have like 4 or 5 t-shirts that you can get one of them for free with that VIP card. So they're pretty cool designs, so make sure you grab one of those. I would really appreciate it. A little bit about me. I'm a competitive angler. I fish in bass tournaments. I actually just came back from an up north trip where I fished in a tournament all around Michigan. I also am a competitive paintball player, so I travel around the country and I play paintball on a handful of different teams. And I also believe heavily in cryptids, specifically Bigfoot, Mothman, ghosts, and UFOs. So if you don't care about anything I'm talking about today and you like one of those 3 things, we can have a huge conversation. Does anybody have a favorite cryptid?
What's a cryptid?
We'll talk. Everybody knows what Bigfoot is, right?
Yeah.
Jersey Devil?
Nope.
Mothman?
Nope.
Ooh, yeah, a little bit.
Abominable Snowman?
Yeah, and that Yeti category and the Bigfoot, yeah, Nessie. That's that Loch Ness Monster. That's a cryptid. So yeah, I'm really interested in all this stuff. I also travel to paranormal conventions around the country, believe it or not. So call me a weirdo. It's definitely a compliment. Thank you. I appreciate it.
paranormal enthusiast.
Yeah,
Website.
yeah. So this is the talk. Like I said, it's brand new. If it's not great, don't let me know in person. I'd rather just read it in text. Know your JS, SBOMs for front-end developers, or the other title to this talk, the men in black know what's in your JavaScript and how to fix it. Now, there's a trigger warning. So if you are not into aliens and UFOs and UAPs and alien movies, you aren't going to like this talk. So is everybody into all of these things?
What's a UAP? Universal App
What,
Path.
a UAP?
A universal app path. Oh, okay.
Unidentified aerial phenomena. That's what we call them. We don't really call them UFOs anymore. Unidentified aerial phenomenon. You also have USOs, unidentified submergible objects, or USAs, unidentified submergible phenomena, USP. So if you're not into any of these things, though, you probably won't like this talk. So as long as we're all good, I'll keep going. So what does this have to do with this? I'll go back and do it again. This is the gimbal and go footage from the military. What does this have to do with this? Can anybody tell me? Dustin.
Your code exhibits paranormal activity.
It could. It could. Hussein, what do you think? What do you think those two things have to do with each other?
Sometimes you don't know what's happening.
It's very true. We don't. I mean, I don't even know. I've been a front-end developer for 30 years, and I don't know sometimes what's happening in my code. Or the .NET code that I had to fix for you. That's a joke. That's a joke. Never had to fix Hussein's .NET code. It was always brilliant. Maybe Dustin's, but not Hussein's. Just kidding. No, so that's great. There's other things. What else do you think those two have to do with each other? Identifiable things inside your code base. What do those two have in common? Unidentifiable. What do those things have in common?
They just come up and they don't know where they come from.
They come up, they don't, right. Sometimes you don't know where they come from, right. We have to look at these things in the way they're connected through the supply chain, specifically software supply chain, right? Now, understanding what's in your code base when it comes to your node modules, or if you're in the Windows space, what's in your package JSON, all your log files, that's just a small piece of the puzzle, right? There's also people, there's processes, there's other software, there's licenses. All of that come together to make sure that we and yourself are shipping secure software down the wire. Now, does that make sense? Cool. Sweet. I dig it. So you can sort of think of it like this. Has anybody seen Independence Day? It's one of my favorite alien UFO movies. Think about it like this. You install a package, that package installs another package, then your mothership and all its children get destroyed. That's literally what a supply chain attack is like. A package gets inserted, you don't know it, you're not testing, that leads to a snowball effect, and then you're in a lot of trouble. Same thing that happened here. What did these two do?
Jeff Goldblum is around? Is that
Do what?
we're safe as long as Jeff Goldblum is
100%. As long as Jeff and Will are there, you're good to go.
Okay, there you go.
You're good to go. Don't worry about it. But in this movie, they inserted a virus into the mothership, and then spread that out to everybody else. They couldn't stop it. There you go. I just spoiled the movie if you've never seen it. My bad. It's unexplainable, right? Or it can be unexplainable. When you're looking at supply chain, when you're looking at software, when you're looking at installing things, you don't really know what you're installing. If you're using WinGet or NuGet or Chocolatey for the Windows side, or NPM yarn PNPM on the JavaScript, the front end side. But I can assure you, the truth is out there. Any X-Files fans? All right. Yeah, you're all nerds. You're all X-Files fans. I don't want to hear about it. Before your time. Yeah, that's true. It's before your time. It's all right. We'll get you all up to speed. We'll get you to speed. Now, how many front-end devs are in this room right now? Back-end? Mostly back-end? Okay, that's fine and dandy. So if I flipped a script on this and asked you how many dependencies does the average .NET app have or the JavaScript app have, what would you say? Thousands?
A dozen or two?
A dozen or two?
Yeah, it doesn't.
A dozen?
Stars are in the sky.
I like that because you went with the galactic little thing. I like that. I dig that a lot. What else? How many packages are in your JavaScript or your .NET app or whatever your app is? Well, on the front end, there's a way to test it. You can run npm ls in your terminal, and that will, if you're familiar with Linux commands, ls is how to list files and folders, right? Directories. You can run npm ls in the root of your project, and it'll display all of the direct packages that are up front. So what that looks like is that you just go in your terminal. This is in VS Code. Run npm ls. This is, I think, in an Angular project. And those are the dependencies that I get. I get a handful of dependencies right off the rip, right? Well, why wouldn't you list all of your dependencies? Why do you think that is? If you wanted to know, why wouldn't you list all of them? And coming from the developer point of view, not the security expert point of view.
Why not list them all? Because you might not be able to do a whole lot about some dependencies since they're your dependencies.
Right, okay, that's a good answer. What else?
They're implicit.
That's a good answer. What else?
Too many.
Too many. So the behavior is intentional to avoid overwhelming the console with excessive amount of a bunch of things, right? Tons of information, especially considering that dependency trees can be big. There can be a lot of them, right? Your list could go on and on and on and on. You have to scroll through it. But if you were to do it, this is the command you would run on the front end in your terminal. npm ls space -all, and this will list all of your dependencies within your dependency tree. So this is what that looks like. And this is just dependencies of dependencies, both direct and transitive.
And here.
And it just keeps going. This is like a 34-second video. It just keeps scrolling to the top. And that's just a baseline Angular project. That's with nothing else installed at all. And we keep going, and we keep going. It'll also dedupe as well.
This is why we need SonarQube.
It's a good product. That is all of the dependencies within that project, right? So when we talk about that, we have direct dependencies, right? These are the main ones when you npm install or chocolatey or NuGet, WinGet, whatever the case may be. In this example, you're looking at just a Next project. So when you install Next, you have React, React DOM, and Next. So Next is just the direct dependency of a brand new, out of the box, Next.js project, right? But then you also have these the transitive dependencies that come along with these, right? So the way you can think about that is a facehugger. Any Alien fans? Aliens, the whole franchise? Does everybody know what a facehugger is? Oh, we got to do some work on you people. We got to do some work on you people. Don't go to CodeMash, because I'll probably do this at CodeMash. So I have an assignment for everybody. If you end up at CodeMash, and I do this talk at CodeMash, I need all of you to watch every single movie reference in here so you understand all my references in here. Does that sound good? Perfect.
Well, you didn't say, have we seen it? You asked if we liked it.
Well, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you say something?
Well, you said, you know, any fans of it? No, I'm not. I hated it the first time I saw it.
Listen.
I walked home in the dark for 3 miles. I was so paranoid, I thought I was going to die.
Well, the thing about this is xenomorphs and facehuggers are not real. But we know how this works. A facehugger wraps itself around you, puts in an egg, puts in something. Hours later, you have a chest burster with this baby xenomorph. And there's a technical name for it. I don't have the wiki all memorized. But then you can consider this like a transitive dependency, right? It's going to come along with you, and the people that are around you might not know it's there until, well, watch the movie. There you go. So an example of a transitive dependency within Next would be Next env, the env package that's within Next. Now, the only way you can find this is if you go into a different package JSON file in your node modules, and for Next, you'll see a package JSON file in there, and then you'll see the dependencies that are part of that. That's how you can find these, if you're just doing a search through package JSON and node modules. So the example I like to talk about is this right here. Now this is a fake package, npm install UFO tracker. This is a whole package that's going to build out the whole UI. It's going to build out all of the database infrastructure for you. You might just have to put in the information of various sightings, abductions, whatever the case may be. So it grabs all this data, right? Everything that it's using, it's going to grab it from these files. It's going to grab it from Project Blue Book. It's going to grab it from the Roswell files. All of these things that talk about and are redacted through these different books, manuals, pamphlets, whatever the case may be, either redacted or not. Chances are it wasn't redacted at the time. Great, so we have that package, right? We think it's a legit package. But then we go look inside this package in these node modules, and then we find out, ooh, we have an MIB transitive dependency that we installed. Well, that's not good, because this package ends up letting the MIB know your location of what you're trying to do, and then this is what you're stuck with. The Men in Black are real, not just a movie. They're actually real. They end up showing up at your door, wanting to know what you're doing, confiscating your books, your pamphlets, your magazines, any written data that you have, as well as your machines, and everything that's on them. Not a good look, right? So we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of that. This is a recent supply chain attack that's happened. I want to talk about this for a minute. So this happened through a company called GlueStack. Now, what GlueStack is, let me go back real quick. GlueStack, yeah. So there was a different name for GlueStack. This is the new name, but it's a React and a React Native component and pattern library that you use to build out React. You can sort of think about it like Tailwind or ShadCN, but that's at the core, that's what it is. It's a component and a pattern library to build out UIs in React and React Native. Does anybody build anything in React and React Native? Is everybody familiar with React and React Native? A little bit? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So what the attack happened, this is pretty much what happened. So maintained by GlueStack, the compromised packages that are part of GlueStack were React Native ARIA Focus, which is an accessibility thing. I do a lot of talks on accessibility. I talk a lot about ARIA. It stands for Accessible Rich Internet Applications. I talk a lot about focus and why focus is important on the web. Utils, overlays, interactions, toggle, switch, checkbox, radio, button, menu, list box, tabs, combo box, disclosure. I didn't add that in there, by the way, disclosure. Slider and separator, as well as GlueStack UI utils. So all 17 of these packages were compromised because of someone that inserted a package in another NPM registry, and it affected all of them. It's linked to this actual package right here, the RAND user agent. The RAND user agent package, it generates randomized real user agent strings based on their frequency of occurrence. It's maintained by a company called Web Scraping API, if you were interested. So this also goes to the top of the chain as well. So there was an executive order that came out in 2021. It's Executive Order 14028. There is a link to it in the slides, like I have. You can check it out. Just Google Executive Order 14028. And it's based around cybersecurity and SBOMs, which we're going to be talking about, and how the rise of cybersecurity and the importance and the requirements, quote unquote, don't quote me on that, for integrating and giving SBOMs from private and governmental software to people. But there's the executive order is really long, so you can read it, you can interpret it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't work for the government. I can only read what makes sense to me. So let's get into the SBOM, because all of this is leading up to what the SBOM is, what an SBOM is, how to integrate it, how to generate one. Is anybody familiar with SBOMs? Okay, that's great. No, that's awesome. I was familiar with security as a front-end developer. It's one of those things where you really don't care so much about security. But I've always lumped security under the UX umbrella with performance and accessibility. All three of those matter from the beginning. Security, performance, accessibility. And when shit hits the fan is when a big stir happens around why are things breaking, right? Users can't use our site because it's not accessible. Our site is slow, right? The performance sucks in slower networks. We didn't sanitize our React, right? Or there was no sanitization in the markup that we produced, right? We didn't scan for any security vulnerabilities in these front-end packages that we're using, that we installed, right? When shit hits the fan is when people start to care. So we got to try to fix that off the rip, right? So this is what an SBOM is. An SBOM is a software bill of materials, right? You might have heard the term a BOM. That's a bill of materials. An SBOM is a software bill of materials. So what is it? You can sort of think of it like a recipe, right? It's going to give you a whole breakdown of what is in your software, right? So just like a recipe, just like a recipe has the whole breakdown of what you need and the quantities, etc. It's the same thing. It has names and versions and licensing and sources and hashes, a bunch of information so you can break down what is in your software. And it's great for security teams, architecture teams. If you can decipher what it is as a back-end or a front-end developer, that's great too, because there's a lot in those software bill of materials that are hard to understand if you really don't know what you're looking at, right? But you start to just read through them, and you can kind of break down what a lot of that stuff is. It's almost like a package JSON file, but it's not a package JSON file. So this is from a Medium article, and I love this definition right here. An SBOM, or a software bill of materials, is a detailed machine-readable list of all components within a piece of software, including dependencies, metadata, and relationships between those components. So it's all of those things and how they connect to each other to help build the software that you are shipping down to your users. So why do we need it? That's a great question. Why do we need SBOMs when we're building our software? Well, one thing, transparency. You want to make sure that you have a good look into that software, into these packages. You want to make sure that your architecture team knows what's going into these packages. You really want to make sure that your security team knows what's going into these packages, right? Back-end team, the front-end team, product managers, everybody that has their hand in this piece of web and software that you are shipping or building should know what's in, have a copy of the SBOM for one on their machine, or have it in a registry or an artifact area so they can access it, or in GitHub, to know what's happening inside that project. And disclosure, right? We need disclosure just like in the UFO space. We need to know what is in there so we can prevent future issues. Does anybody remember when this was happening, the government? Non-biologics, yeah. I'm not saying they were human, but they were non-human. It's critical for two main things, right? It's critical for security, and it's critical for compliance. You want to make sure that you're compliant across the board. You want to make sure that you're not shipping software where you're going to get in trouble, or you could possibly face a lawsuit because it's not compliant with compliance standards, right? You want to make sure that you're enabling organizations to manage those vulnerabilities. You want to make sure that you'll be able to track those licenses and reduce the risk of hidden dependencies that are impacting those operations. Now, when we talk about SBOMs, we have 6 different types. And what I'm going to be covering today in the demos, it's just like a basic baseline. I don't go through all 6 of these and how to set them up. But the first one is a design SBOM. It's an SBOM that describes the intended components of a software artifact, even if those components don't exist yet. It's often derived from design documents or specs, right? So what we think this is going to be in that design SBOM. We have a source SBOM. That SBOM represents the source code of the software and its components. We have a build SBOM. That's generated during the software build process and reflects the components used to create the final artifact. We have analyzed SBOM. That's created by analyzing the software's binaries, packages, or other artifacts, potentially using third-party tools, which are readily available to use. I'm going to talk about a couple of those. We have a deployed SBOM. That lists the software components installed on a specific system. And then the last one is the runtime SBOM. So that describes the components present and active in a running environment. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm just going to show how to create a baseline SBOM in an Angular project and just go from there. Now, one thing to keep in mind, an SBOM is not a lock file or a package lock file at all. Package lock file or package JSONs, your package files themselves, it's just a list of the dependencies that were installed, right? And the lock file is going to lock in those versions, et cetera, so it's consistent across the board. You'll see what I mean when I talk about SBOMs and all of the things that are inside that. So, why do you care? Should you care? Should you not care? If you're a designer, should you care? Right? If you're a technical writer, should you care? If you're a developer advocate like myself, should you really care? I never thought I needed to care before, right? I never thought I needed to care about the security at the very, very low level in the software that we're shipping. You know, I've worked with a couple people in this room. We never looked at these things. You know, we could be installing things left and right. We're not looking at the transitive dependencies that come along with that, or the security vulnerabilities or the CVEs that come along with that, or VEX reports. Like, all of these things have a big piece when it comes to shipping software. But like I was saying, no one gives a shit until the shit hits the fan. So you should care, 100%, right off the rip. It's with anything, right? There is one big problem that we see, though, on the front end, and it's typo squatting. Typo squatting is a thing. Is anybody familiar with typo squatting? Cool, awesome. And this has probably all happened to us at some point, where it wasn't severe, but sort of an example, I mean, you type in GitHub, and you type in GitHub or something off, you know, something weird, right? You can do the same thing with NPM. So one of these is not like the other, right? This is NPM Express. This is the Express framework. You can, you know, run your backends. And then you have NPM Express. This one, the top one up here, is the actual package for Express. This one down here is not. But attackers will do things like this. They'll create malicious packages, misspell them by 1 or 2 letters, and muscle memory to us, just like running git commit something or a password or login, we think, okay, git install Express, and we forget to hit that other S, and we install it, and we're thinking that we're installing Express. And all of a sudden, we're not going to go back and look, right? We might scan the package JSON file like, oh, okay, yeah, Express is in there, cool. I'm on a deadline, I got to get this shipped, I got to get this feature fixed. Or Jira's going to yell at me, right? But that package right there could have a lot of malicious code in it that we are not cognizant of. And it could bring along a lot of various issues for us. So you really, really have to pay attention and take your time when you're installing packages, both in the Windows space and in the front end, or the .NET, C#, Java, whatever space it may be, as well as the front end space. The importance in the product and users are why we are generating these SBOMs, right? Component visibility. This is a big one. Identifying all code sources. They can be more rapidly identify hidden vulnerabilities. Vulnerability management. Identifying those vulnerabilities within the device manufacturer's underlying source code. Supply chain security. That's a big one for SBOMs. Mitigating security risks arising from third-party libraries and components, and holding vendors accountable for supplying those updates that are patched. Collaboration, that's a huge one, right? We're collaborating with a lot of teams. We're collaborating with clients that need our software. Working across health technology management, security teams to prioritize remediation activities, right? Especially fintech, healthcare. You want to make sure that that software you're shipping is secure. And then compliance, you want to be compliant. There's a handful of different compliance standards that are out there, right? This wouldn't be a talk without throwing a hackers reference in here. But hackers love the whole ecosystem. It doesn't matter what it is, right? If you're a fan of this movie, which is one of my favorite movies. I wanted to be a hacker back in '95 when this came out. But I can assure you, Dade Murphy is good, except when he was younger and he hacked all those systems, took down a whole entire system, and he couldn't touch a touch-tone phone or the internet till he's age of 18. But they want to attack systems, right? We have to do our job and our diligence to stop that from happening. And there's also increased requirements for SBOM, specifically from clients, right? You want to build client trust. If someone is purchasing your software, they're purchasing it because they trust you. You can't give them shitty, unsecured software or shitty, inaccessible software or software that isn't performant. Policy recs, they're going to help build out their policy recs based on your SBOM. It's a process for older solutions. Older systems, legacy systems, before SBOMs were ever a thing. This helps to kind of build a standard around that by supplying them an SBOM. Storage systems for SBOMs. You can provide them a bunch of various SBOMs that they can keep stored in a system that they can pick and choose from, because they might have tens or hundreds of various SBOMs for their whole entire enterprise stack. And then accessibility to SBOMs, not in the terms of web accessibility, but having that SBOM readily available for them and changed and updated when they need it. So we're going to talk about installing. 3, 2, 1. We're going to head over to the terminal. Not really, but I'm going to give you some commands. So in this demo, the demos that I'm going to be showing, I'm going to be using Syft. And the recommended way to install this is using curl. You can just Google Syft install GitHub, and it'll give you the information. It's also in the resources. You can install it with Brew if you're on a Mac. Brew install Syft. I'll give you a couple seconds to write it down if you want to. And we didn't forget about you, Windows. We didn't forget about any of you Windows users out there. You can also install it with Chocolatey. So it's Choco install Syft-Y. So if you want to do this on Windows. But Microsoft also makes an SBOM tool. Does anybody use it? They make an official SBOM tool. And the link for this, I have it at the slides, but it's also in the resources. It uses winget to install it. So if you're building anything and you wanted to use that as well, you could use this, the official Microsoft SBOM tool. Now, when you're generating your SBOMs, there's two popular formats that are out there: SPDX and CycloneDX. So let's generate some SBOMs. Let me switch this around. And then I'm going to create Angular, SBOM, MIDOTNET, and CD into Angular, SBOM, MI.NET. All right. Actually, you know what? Let's rimwrap that. Angular, SBOM, clear. All right, now we have a fresh, everybody can see this? All right. Now we have a fresh Angular project that's running. So let's create an SBOM out of this. And I'm going to use Syft to do it. I'm going to add a source name as well as a source version. That's just best practice. The terminal will yell at you if you don't do that. So it's just best practice if you have a source name. So whatever the project is or the organization name, and then the version of this SBOM or the version of the software that you're shipping. So this is just going to be from like the Syft GitHub. So it's going to be Syft packages dir -o is a flag. You're going to take JSON. You're going to pipe or concat it to sbom.json. Give it a source name and then give it a source version. I should have used Syft scan, but Syft packages still works. All right. So this is what the SBOM looks like. Hard to be read by a human, right? It's machine readable though. Lot of stuff in here. So what I can do, there's a package called JQ. If you're familiar with JQ, it formats JSON. So you just do JQ period sbom.json, pipe that or concat that into sbom-prettyjson or whatever you want to call that prettified new file.
Unified?
No, prettified. You'll see the difference. That looks a lot better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff in here, right? You have artifacts. You got Angular common. That comes along with Angular. The version of that, the type, it was installed with NPM. Various locations, licenses, MIT licenses, paths, URLs, the languages, metadata types, integrity, IDs, names, versions, this is for the Angular compiler. That also comes with Angular when you install the fresh version of Angular. A lot of things within this file. Now this is fine and dandy. You can have this. You can view it. You can save this JSON, send it to somebody within your organization as long as your stuff is secured. But you can also do this in a GitHub workflow, which I'm going to talk about. But let's say we install another package, right? So I'm going to delete these just because. I'm going to install a package called Lucid, or Lucid Angular. It's an icon library, and it's made for React, I think Vue, Svelte, Angular. So let's install that. That's going to take a second. So now, if you look in your package JSON file, we have the Lucid Angular. If we go up to our node modules, it should be in here as well. If not, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Let's create another SBOM. And if all goes to plan, and we pretty print this file, if we search in here for Lucid, we'll see that it's in there. So that package we just installed, it's in the node modules, and if it's not, it's in the package JSON, it's in the package JSON lock. The tooling is going to look at all of those various things, and it's going to regen a new one if you're doing it manually. So you can see it right here. It gives you the ID, the version, the type. We know it's version 540. Oh, I can't scroll back up. But if we saw that the version, we might be able to run this. Lucid, Angular, that's probably won't work because it's not, yeah, that doesn't matter. But we know it's 540 because that's what we saw when it told us that's what it installed. So that's one way to do it, manually. Now, you can also do this with, let me delete these. You can do it in GitHub, in a GitHub workflow, which I would suggest you do, because anytime you push to a branch or you push to main, a new SBOM can be generated as an artifact that you can have to download in a zip file. I'm not going to walk through how to do that whole entire process because it's pretty lengthy, but let me see here, is it?
So would you want to do this in like GitHub itself, or like as like a pre-commit hook before you put it into the repository?
So what you're going to do is you're going to create all of this in VS Code. So like this example here, Angular SBOM example, you're going to create a .github directory in your terminal. Then you're going to create a workflows directory within that, and you're going to create an sbom.yaml file or YML. And then, you might have to figure out how other people have done this. Ask AI how to generate this for you. There's different ways you can do it. I don't know if anybody can write an SBOM YAML file by heart unless they're a security expert. Same with a Docker file. I would just use the internet at my disposal to figure that out. But you set it up, right, on push to branches main or develop. It's going to make the changes. You can schedule it too. You can do it on a cron job, so you can run it every so often. It's going to run the latest version of Ubuntu, and then it's going to have the steps. It's going to check out some code. It's going to set up Node. Let's see, it's going to install dependencies. It's going to install Syft. It's going to generate that SBOM, like I showed you with the commands. It's going to validate that SBOM in the various formats. So for us, we're using SPDX. and it's going to upload those artifacts, and you're going to be good to go. So, if you look here, it's in your Actions tab. So it was just a test file. But it does all these things. It sets up the job. It runs through that, checks out the code, sets up Node.js, generate the SBOM, complete the job. That same workflow file I showed you is right here. And then if you wanted to look at the generated SBOM, you just click that and it installs the zip. Yeah.
So how do you verify the integrity of the tool that generates the SBOM?
That's a great question. Syft and the couple other tools that are out there come directly from security organizations like Sneak and
Like check down your repository or something so that it doesn't get corrupted?
you could do that. I mean, you're gonna take a lot of these commands and what they're telling you directly from their repo, and it's a verified repo. So like, I'm gonna talk about Sneak too, but Sneak makes a CVE scanner that can scan your SBOMs, scan your packages. Sneak's a reputable company. Anchor is the company that makes Syft. Anchor is a reputable company. So if you want to, you can just download the zip and you're good to go. So if I were to check this out, and I'll go in here, and let me do npm install Lucid Angular. I'll install it in this package. Clear that, and then git add all, git commit new package. If I can spell. In theory, this should kick off another build. So you can see right here, a new package is being generated, a new SBOM is being generated because there was a new package that was installed. It takes a second because it's running through all of the various steps. And then the job is complete. Then you can go back in and you can download that SBOM and you'll be able to see that new package that we installed. At least there's a place for that to stay, right? Because it's in GitHub, so it's not staying on your machine and you got a copy of something different on your machine, right? It can be consistent for your whole entire org. And if you have multiple ones, you can create multiple YAML files, right? If you have something that you specifically want to do, something.yaml, SBOM.yaml, something else.yaml, right? You can do various things. You can have all these various artifacts at your disposal. When it comes to security and SBOMs, there's two different tools that you can use to scan directories, Docker images. There's Gripe, which is also from Anchor, and Sneak. Sneak has a tool that you can also use. So in this example, I'm just using Gripe, and you can install Gripe with npm brew. And this one right here, so if I did gripe SBOM :SBOM.json, it'll go through that project directory, and it'll tell me the various vulnerabilities that are in this project. So you can see those. You can also generate that through your SBOM as well. There's a GitHub workflow for it. You can install this in a GitHub workflow. So you have your current, if you want to just do it with your current directory in your GitHub workflow, it'll generate that for you. You can also scan an SBOM directly in your GitHub workflow. You set it up that way. You install, Syft gets installed, the SBOM generator gets installed in the uses command. You can generate the format, which is SPDX JSON. You have the output file. And then to recap. So I'm going to kind of repeat the same thing that I was talking about earlier as to why SBOMs are important. holistically across the board, right? Component visibility. We want to make sure that there's visibility into all of the things that we're putting into our application. Vulnerability management. We want to make sure that we know about security vulnerabilities before they pose a risk later down the line. Supply chain security. We don't want anything getting into our supply chain and malicious attacks to happen, so we need to be cognizant of all of those packages. Collaboration across the board among teams, architecture teams, security teams, clients that we're working with, customers that we're working with, and then compliance, which is a huge thing. We want to make sure that we're compliant, meeting all the standards that are across the board. Here's the show notes again if you wanted to take a screenshot of that or scan the QR code. Everybody good? Dustin?
So why, would you be the one scanning the SBOM, or would it be your person who's using your stuff scanning the SBOM?
That's a great question. So to me, if I'm building the software, I'm going to provide an SBOM for you.
Yeah.
But if you're the one that's shipping that software and you're building your own stuff, you and your security team and your architecture team are going to be doing this if you're shipping the product.
Something like just scanning the code versus scanning an SBOM.
Right. So yeah, that's the show notes. The slides are there. The video will be up. The resources. Now, I'm not saying it was the aliens, but it was the aliens. Thank you thank you so much for having me. Catch me on.
In fact, I switched over to it, and I saw it, and I came back, and that's exactly the quote I thought of before I saw it. Yep.
Giorgio Sokolokos is a good guy. Catch me on Twitter at Sultan Burnham or Blue Sky, ChrisTomars.net. Thanks again, Michigan.net. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, hit me up. If you didn't like this talk, tell me on Twitter. Thank you. Oh, geez, hold on. What is going on here? See, this is the thing about, well, either way. Well, that sucks.